All right, hello, welcome everyone. If you are just joining live, say hello so I can see you and chat with you. If you're going to watch on the replay, tag me. But hey, but thank you for being here. So, if you don't know me, if you're new to me, I'm Tia Marie, creator of the Sinatia universe, and I want to thank you for being a part of this group and being a part of my tribe if I know you well. If you are just catching me for the first time, let me know. I'd love to connect with you, and I'm really excited about what I'm going to talk about today, which is the topic of the concept of matrices. So the singular matrix. And if you feel like this content would be really helpful to someone, feel free to share or invite them to the group. This group, or Sinatia Live, is a group in which I kind of come and do my inspired live streams, and I'm going to be doing a series building up to a one-day masterclass called Paradigm, and I'll release details about that later. But what I want to share and what I have been feeling kind of pulling me in my field is this concept of helping people to understand what the singular matrix is, or what a singular matrix is, and how important it is for us to get into a place in our lives and in our comprehension of ourselves where we're really investing in and building that internal structure. So, like, a singular matrix is the matrix of reality that, or the shape of reality that builds itself up around your being. So everything that in existence has like these kind of fractals. So if you can see it, like, if you ever heard someone say to yourself, themselves, or if you've ever said to yourself, like, that's just not a part of my paradigm, right? That's just not a part of my reality. This is something that kind of comes across my field often because I find myself crossing paths with people or concepts or, positions of awareness where I just realize that the other person's reality or the other person's awareness is true for them. And also, it just doesn't kind of affect the way that I see, create, and believe in my own life. And if you have that sensation, or if you've ever had that sensation, and I feel like people are growing into a place where they're beginning to have that sensation more and more inside of themselves, then the reason for that is that you are really connected and tuned into your own singular matrix. So when people talk about the matrix and unhooking from the matrix, and stepping out of the matrix and taking taking the red pilling themselves from the matrix. To me, what that is it's the first step, or the first indicator that there are two separate realities in action here. There are two separate, very valid realities that we are experiencing when we are existing here in physical on earth. And the two realities that we exist within is our own and the collective. So our own reality, and then the reality that kind of like gets lumped together in one big narrative inside of our minds and our experiences. And we realize that the two are not the same. And that moment where you kind of wake up from that, where you red pill yourself, where you decide that you want to open your eyes in that metaphor, is the one where you realize that your reality and other people's reality are not the same. And so what I'm finding is a really important conversation to be having with ourselves, and to be having with our awareness of the truth of this, is that really, when we are experiencing that dissonance, the place that we need to focus in, the place that we need to pay attention to, is our own reality, being internally referenced, internally sourced, internally resourced, instead of understanding ourselves in the reflection of, of the external. So you can kind of think of it like a mirror dimension. And I have a visual of this, and this is the way that I see it. It's like I see myself like within the sphere of the collective reality, being inside of my own sphere. And I realize that the magnitude of the collective reality and all the structures and the rules and the way that energy moves and the different influences and the paradigms and the beliefs and, you know, the religious beliefs and the financial beliefs and the societal beliefs and the gender role beliefs and you know, the relational beliefs and the success beliefs and the you know, all of that which lives inside the external matrix is in some way kind of pushing down on the weight, or like putting pressure on me standing inside my own circle within a circle. If you want to just see it in that really, you know, simple visual for you to understand like the way that it's operating. And if I do not cultivate the strength of my own individual matrix, my own singular paradigm, then the pressure of that collective paradigm, that collective matrix, starts to collapse my relationship to my own rules and regulations, my own definitions of self, my own energetic access to source, etc., etc. And when that continues to happen, I have two options. I can either see that pressure as a form of alchemy or a catalyst or a call for me to develop and strengthen my own internal paradigm, or I can collapse under the weight of it. And this is what happens a lot when you see people, you know, kind of losing their relationship to their own identity inside the thoughts and the beliefs of others. This is what happens when you see humans kind of buy into success paradigms that they see for other people, only to like live their life inside of that reality for most of their life and figure out that it doesn't actually satisfy them or it doesn't do much for them. You know, this is what happens when people blame, right, other people for the way that they feel because of other people having opinions that does not resonate with their own, and they cannot see the separation between their own singular matrix or their own internal paradigm and the external collective paradigm. The two may exist within each other, and everybody has their own as well. And so there's overlap, and there's, you know, there's a dynamic relationship between all of these sort of singular realities playing in the whole game. But the truth is that they're not actually intertwined in any way. And when you learn how to understand that inside of yourself and cultivate that, what also begins to happen is that the strength of your own singular matrix or your own paradigm grows, and you don't end up in a place where you feel like there's any crossover whatsoever. And when there is no crossover, there is nothing to be a victim of, quote unquote, except for what you allow in and cultivate inside of your own internal reality. And so I think the metaphor or the realization of like this being the mirror dimension, it's like a reality within a reality within a reality within a reality, like understanding that like the source codes of creation reproduce in a state of fractals, right? So it's like copies of copies of copies of copies, and we see mirrors of the truth of creation in everything that we come across. But that feels to me like a very simple way for us to understand where we end and other people begin. It also helps us, once we kind of conceptualize and contemplate the effects on that in our own energetic field, in our own belief system, in the things that we have been kind of programmed and coded with since the beginning of our lives. It takes the blame away, I think, that we want to put on external or like situations that we've been in to cause us to have developed the internal paradigms or the rules and the guidelines that we have. It's, for me, what has been really powerful in my own work is to understand the complexity of a concept of self-awareness, and then to kind of wrap my brain around it in some way, and then completely release that. You know, it's like to fully immerse myself in a concept and then release my need to understand it and find out what is left, how much potential do I have access to now that I have viewed an aspect of my reality in an alternative or a different way. And so, like, the concept of the mirror dimension, understanding that we are, you know, a singular matrix inside of a collective matrix, for me then helps me to understand that, like, when people say, you know, oh, your relationship is a mirror to what's happening inside of you, or your financial system or your financial situation is a mirror to what's happening on the inside, or how much you value yourself teaches other people how to value you. When we say things like this, I think what immediately happens is that we're kind of filled with this sense of frustration and maybe even a little bit of shame that on some level we know that we've created this situation that we're not super excited to be in, but yet at the same time we don't understand the mechanism in us that was so like off the mark that allowed us to create it in the first place. And so that's when, like, the searching through, like, the haystack, like the looking for the needle in the haystack, starts to become really unhelpful in the realm of spiritual searching in order to help us expand. And so if we did understand that, yes, okay, clearly, like, my internal reality is being reflected in me, in what I find and see in the external reality, but it's not really as complex as I would make it seem in order to find and kind of suss out the nuance of what in me caused this, opposed to just understanding that that's how it operates. And so the thing that I should work on and focus on is building the internal resilience and the internal strength of my own connection to my beliefs, the rules, the guidelines, the energetic source of my internal matrix, and then that will change what I see mirrored to me in my reality, right? So I've always found it as kind of like an opposite approach to what most people do when they're trying to expand in some area of their life by doing like profound spiritual searching, et cetera, et cetera. And what I also want to say is that, and I spoke to this a little bit in the writings that I shared today, that the soul blueprint and the soul DNA holds within it the capacity for us to reach and access potential, so like limitlessness. And we were born with a blueprint for our soul, and we're born with a soul DNA, and we're also born with a human blueprint, and we're born with a human DNA. And within that lives, the past, present, and the future. So within all of that truth, we have access to this kind of sense of limitlessness that is bone deep, that is cell deep, that is like cellular matter. And the search for us to build up our own internal source of resilience and strength is like a profound calling. It's a profound calling. And what's kind of happening inside of us as we interact with or, meet that collective reality is a clear clarion call for sovereignty. And the call for sovereignty rejects that collective reality. And that's where you get the pressure. And that's where you get the identity crisis. And that's where you get the confusion. And that's also where you get the desire to start doing the spiritual evolutionary work, because the soul requires spiritual growth in order for it to evolve, because it's looking at expanding its awareness of itself and the reality around itself to match something that is not limited like human perception, right? Something that is not three-dimensional. It's looking for awareness that can tune in and tap outside of what it sees and touch limitlessness and touch source and touch what is possible for you. And so something to think about, to really kind of take this concept to another level for you, is to pay attention to where in your life you feel like you kind of butt up against what you feel is an experience or of reality that does not align or does not resonate, and where that is putting pressure on your sense of like internal resource. Because your internal reality or your singular matrix or your internal paradigm is fueled by your energy. It's fueled by your resource. It's fueled by the strength of your belief in yourself, truly. And it's defined by and distilled by your ability to separate your awareness and self-definition from the awareness and self-definition of others. And so in some ways it feels a little delusional, I think, when you first connect to it, because it completely rejects all forms of external definition. But you'll find once you tune into the truth of how much power you actually hold and wield to change not only your vibration, but all of the other people that enter your life field as a result of continuously like raising vibration, raising self-awareness, raising access to self-power, raising access to your ability to speak clearly about yourself and communicate with others, and like weave within your own internal set of rules for the game that you're here to play. Once you do that, you'll find that you no longer end up in situations with people in the external that do not vibe at your level. I really believe that this is the definition of ascension, quote unquote, what people call ascension. I believe that ascension is first understanding and taking responsibility for the universe or the reality that you're creating, and then within that separating yourself from the external, which is a complex conversation in and of itself, because there's a lot of things that we allow to define us, and then moving from that into like continuing to raise your vibration and raise your vibration and raise your vibration, so that you are in essence, ascending to a different reality. That's what it feels like to me. And I think it's a really powerful practice to contemplate. Like, it's something good to think about the next time you find yourself in a situation where you feel extremely pressured, where you feel like you don't have the options to make the choices that you want to make, where you feel like somebody sees you a certain way and you don't agree with the way that somebody um, you know defines you. And like, how do you react to that? How do you use that as a catalyst to redefine and put that energy back in yourself versus expending it outward into a system that is not really designed to be changed by you in the way that you wish that you could change it by focusing your energy in that direction. It's not actually how it works. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. This is something that I've been contemplating recently. I also came across this concept in myself around the spiritual journey that we define connected to how we transform. Because if you remember, I said, like, the soul needs spiritual transformation or spiritual evolution in order to grow. The spiritual journey that we identify in ourselves is the one that will determine, like, not only how we arrive to the place that we arrive, but what we find ourselves in at the end of that journey. So this is that last thing that I'm sharing is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. But I find it to be really interesting. Like, are you on a, like, this is what I think about for myself. Like, are you on a healing journey? Are you on a journey of alchemy? Do you choose to spiritually transform by transmuting shadow? Do you choose to spiritually transform through emotional states? Are you doing it through energy? Are you doing it through, there's so many different ways that people do this. And I've been observing and studying, like, the outcome of that initial choice. And it's extremely fascinating to me and something that I'm looking forward to talking more about. So anyways, that is our talk for today. I'm looking forward to coming in the group more often. I'm going to be doing a series, like I said, a few days in a row. So I'll be back in here tomorrow. I'll post an update about what time. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about what the idea that I ended up at in the last few minutes of this call about what your spiritual journey is and how you understand which one you're embarking on when you choose to define it and where it takes us. So thank you for being here. Like I said, if you are catching me for the first time, say hello. If you're catching me on the replay, tag me, and I'll look forward to seeing you back in here tomorrow. Bye.